at the very beginning of this episode, Erica Banks ends up meeting up with Jessica and Jasmine, and she lets them know that in last week's episode, when she met with Carly, she put Carly on a FaceTime with T Woods. Now, T Woods is the baby mama of Carly's husband, T-Lo, and she told them that everything went fine on the FaceTime call. To me, it really didn't, because T Woods was not interested in talking to Carly, and Carly wasn't interested in talking to T Woods. Honestly, I do feel like Erica Banks should stay out of it, because once drama pops off, she's going to be included in it because she's kind of being a little messy. But Jasmine said something that I do agree with, that it is weird that T-Lo was just planning on having a baby with T Woods, and he did end up getting her pregnant, and then while she was pregnant, he decides to mess around with Carly and marry her all of a sudden. That is weird, but at the end of the day, Carly doesn't care, so I don't think they should care either. Now, Jasmine ends up telling Jessica and Erica Banks that Kirk is trying to get full custody of their son together, and she's upset about this, okay? Because she feels like Kirk doesn't really want custody of their son. He just does not want to pay child support. And you know what? She might actually be right. I don't know if that's the real reason why he's trying to get custody of their son, but it might be. So International Nova and his wife Christina end up going to meet up with Zayn and Ashley, and quickly during this meetup, he realizes that that's probably not the best married couple to hang around with, and it's probably not the best married couple to get advice from, because Ashley and Zayn have a lot of issues with each other, especially right now, because they start telling Nova and his wife Christina that they're not even staying in the same house. They didn't even show up on this double date together. They showed up separately. But it seems like Nova has a lot of issues with his wife's insecurities, because during this meetup, he ends up asking Ashley if she allows Zayn to go to the studio by himself, and she said that she does let him go by himself, and she doesn't mind it, except she does want him to communicate with her throughout the time that he's there and let her know what time he's coming home, and if he has other plans that he's going to do afterwards, she wants him to make sure that he lets her know about it first. So she seems fine with, Zayn being at the studio as long as he acts right, but we know that he hasn't been acting right, and that's the reason why he's not staying in the house anymore. And when Zayn ends up asking Christina if she lets Nova be at the studio late night, she says that he can stay at the studio in their house late night, but if he's going to be in a studio outside of their home, she needs to be there with him, and she doesn't want any woman in the room. And look, Nova looks like he's upset about this, okay? Because he feels like his wife is trying to control him. And I don't know if he's did something to Christina in their relationship. I don't know if he's cheated on her, or she found some text messages or something in his phone that has her feeling this way, but she does not want this man out of her sight at all. And even though I can understand why she feels the way she does, because when you're in the music industry, the men have a history of cheating and having women in the studio cheating on their wives with them, so I can understand why she feels the way that she does. But if she feels so strongly about this, why is she in a relationship with an artist? Because at the end of the day, I mean, she can't hold him so tightly and not let him go out of her sight, because the relationship's not going to work at that point. So in this episode, Saucy Santana ends up getting Ashley and Jasmine together for the first time, because Ashley and Jasmine have never met each other, and Ashley ends up immediately telling Jasmine that she's heard a lot about her, but she lets Jasmine know that she wants to get to know her herself and not go for what other people were saying about her, because we all know that everybody's saying that Jasmine is a messy homewrecker, and so a lot of people try to stay clear of her, but Ashley doesn't want to do that. She wants to give her a chance. And Jasmine is saying that she doesn't understand why everybody is holding the situation with her and Kirk against her, because at the end of the day, she says it was 10 years ago. She met him in the strip club, and he told her that him and Rashida were getting a divorce, and that's the reason why she went for it. And look, I do think that, I mean, you should never listen to a man when he tells you that he's divorcing his wife or he's leaving his girlfriend, because most of the time they're lying about that, and unless you see tangible proof that they're not together anymore, I would stay clear of men who say that they're still married. But she did it, okay? And I think that she was wrong for that, but I still think that Kirk is more in the wrong, because at the end of the day, he was the one that was married. He had no business in the strip club trying to pick up any women at all, and he did. So I don't understand why everybody jumps down Jasmine's throat, but nobody says anything about Kirk. And I'm not talking about people on social media, because people on social media have been dragging Kirk for years, but I'm talking about the people on the show, because if they've let go of what Kirk has done to Rashida, who they all claim that they're friends with and they love so much, then they should let go of what Jasmine did too. I'm not saying they have to be friends with her, but they don't have to try to fight the girl every time they're in the same room with her, and that seems to happen, and that actually ends up happening later on in this episode. And they start talking about Mendices, because Saucy Santana was saying that he heard some things about Mendices too, about him being in bars and strip clubs, not wearing his wedding ring and acting like he's single. So if everybody's saying this, there might be some truth to it. I don't know, because nobody has shown any proof yet. So during this conversation between Ashley, Saucy Santana, and Jasmine, Ashley ends up telling them that she put Zayn out of the house because when he went to London for Spice's tour, he was flirting with one of Spice's friends. And basically she said that she has an issue with Spice because when she met up with Spice with Amy a few episodes ago, Spice called her delusional. And look, I understand that she doesn't want to be called delusional, especially by somebody that she's just meeting just now. But in my opinion, Spice was right. I don't think she should have said it, but she was right because, I mean, Ashley is acting delusional. If Zayn hasn't acted right the entire 11 years that you've been together, why do you think he's going to act right now? Everybody knows that he's been running around acting like he was single for a really long time. Most of the people on this show were saying that they didn't even know he was married. So I just feel like she is acting delusional if she thinks that Zayn is going to change. However, because Spice and Ashley didn't know each other, I don't think it was her place to say that to Ashley. And obviously, Saucy Santana is not feeling Spice at all because they got into it at the end of last week's episode, which he ends up telling Jasmine and Ashley about. He said that he was telling Spice that basically she's always involved in some drama and some mess and always trying to act like she's not doing anything wrong. But he did say that when he met up with her in last week's episode, he told her that the album that she was putting together, the cast album, was clown shit. And he did say that to her. And Spice went off and called him a one-hit wonder. He was calling her all types of bitches. And it just got really ugly really quickly between the two of them. I don't even think that situation had to escalate the way that it did. Saucy Santana is right. Spice does do messy things and then tries to pretend like she didn't do anything. But Saucy Santana also didn't have to come for Spice the way that he did. He was mad because Spice was in the studio with Zell while Zell was making a diss track about him. And I just feel like that issue is something he needs to talk about with Zell and not with Spice. But at the end of the day, I feel like they were both wrong in that situation. Now look, Amy is a little bit messy, okay? She's pretty, but she's messy because she ends up meeting up with Carly in this episode, and she tells Carly that when she met up with Zell earlier in this episode, he told her that he's been in the studio with Bunny Rax. Now, Bunny Rax is somebody that was working with Carly's husband, Tilo, before Carly got with him, and apparently the two of them had a relationship while he was also with Carly too. And according to Bunny Rax, Carly was texting her saying some mean things, and basically Carly tried to get a restraining order against Bunny Rax, claiming that Bunny was stalking her. I don't know if that's true or not. Bunny's saying it's not, but Carly is saying that it is. And so Carly gets really upset finding out that Zell has been spending time with Bunny Rax and that he's been in the studio with her. So she starts going off, saying that she was there for Zell through everything and that when he went to jail, she was the one that was there for him. And so she's upset and she's saying that he needs to pick a side. And I mean, I personally don't like the whole pick a side thing. I feel like they're all too grown to be talking about somebody needing to pick a side. I think that's stupid, but I can understand why Carly would be upset about him hanging around this woman who she doesn't get along with when they're supposed to be friends with each other. But she did say that she's not trying to give clout to T Woods or Bunny Rax. She wouldn't even say their names because she said that that's giving them too much clout. So I mean, she needs to talk to her husband about this situation because she wouldn't be going back and forth with his exes if he wasn't doing some messy shit behind her back, to be honest. So Spice ends up inviting Shekinah, Rennie, and Kendra over to her house, and Rennie ends up bringing her new baby boy to the house, and he's so adorable and everybody is like melting over him. And Kendra is saying that she's now getting baby fever. Like a few seasons ago, she was saying that she didn't want to have any children, like she didn't want them at all. And now she's saying that she does want a baby, but that she wants to start the process of freezing her eggs because she wants to take her time, which I think is good. I think she should take her time, and I don't really feel like her and Jock are in a good place. At least from what we're able to see on the show, they're not really in a good place for her to be having a baby right now, but I do think that it's good that she's going through the process of freezing her eggs. Now, Rennie said that she does want everybody to meet the baby, so she was thinking about doing a sip and see. You know what's funny? The first time I ever heard of a sip and see was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta when Phaedra did one. Other than that, I had never heard of a sip and see before, but she wants to do one and she wants to invite everybody, and they end up asking her if she's going to invite Sierra because everybody has noticed that they're not seeming to be friends anymore, and she did say that she does want to invite Sierra. However, she does want to have a conversation with Sierra before the sip and see. That way no drama happens where the baby's at. Rennie tells them that Sierra has been acting different towards her ever since the season aired, where she said in her confessional when the producer asked her which one of the women on the show would she allow to babysit her son, she did not say Sierra's name, or she said Sierra's name last, and Sierra felt offended by that. And look, I do understand that Sierra is upset about Rennie not naming her as one of the people who would be able to babysit the baby, but I feel like this is something that she should have talked to Rennie about. If she felt some type of way about it, I feel like this is a conversation her and Rennie could have had, and they could have worked out whatever issue that they had with each other. Instead, Sierra decided to sit in her feelings and start acting some type of way towards Rennie, and I feel like that made the situation worse. I definitely feel like they should have talked about the situation. Carly ends up deciding to meet up with Zell after finding out from Amy that Zell has been hanging around Bunny Rax and also in the studio with her trying to make a song, and she's upset about it, okay? So she decides to confront Zell about the situation, and he claims that he's known Bunny Rax for a while and that it's not personal, it's business, because he feels like Bunny Rax is a really good rapper and he wants to make a song with her, and he feels like Carly is just in her feelings about it. Now, Zell ends up letting it slip that Bunny Rax was in the studio with Spice too, and that Spice actually might be managing Bunny Rax's career, and obviously Carly gets really upset about this, okay? Her entire demeanor changes and she starts going off because she feels like Spice is doing this on purpose to get back at her, and she thought the two of them squashed their beef, so she doesn't understand why Spice is doing this. And look, I do feel like Spice is working with Bunny Rax to be messy against Carly. I feel like the only reason why Bunny Rax is even on this show is because production is messy and they know that there's a storyline there with Carly, so that's the reason why she's there. However, I don't understand why Carly is so in her feelings about this situation, because Carly isn't always extra loyal to everybody either. She hangs around people that her friends don't like. How many times have we seen her caught in the middle of two people that she's cool with, and we saw her being a little bit messy? So I feel like, you know, she thinks that it's okay for her to do it to other people, but then when somebody does it to her, then she's extra dramatic about it. Although I do feel like she does have a little bit of a reason to be upset with them, because I do feel like they're working with Bunny on purpose. And Zell starts telling Carly that just because he's cool with her doesn't mean that he has to hate everybody that she doesn't like. And that is true. He shouldn't have to. And I do think that they're all too old to be, you know, saying you need to pick a side. But I will say Carly needs to have this energy with her husband, because she wouldn't be in this mess going back and forth with his exes if it wasn't for him being messy, because I do feel like he was probably still dealing with these women while he was with Carly. And that's the reason why these girls are in their feelings the way that they are. Otherwise, I feel like she wouldn't even be in this situation. And she's also engaged in this mess because she said that she was going back and forth with them on social media and trying to one-up T Woods, the woman that has his baby. Carly starts yelling at Zell, saying that she doesn't care who T-Lo slept with before her because it doesn't matter to her. But then Zell told her that he heard that he's still sleeping around with a bunch of different women. And look, Carly gets upset, okay? She starts saying that she's happy and she's choosing to ignore what T-Lo does. So she's so desperate to be married that she's willing to ignore the disrespect of her husband. She's willing to turn a blind eye to the stuff that he's doing just because she claims that she's so happy with him. But it doesn't seem like she's happy with him, because she seems like she's been stressed out this entire season. Now, it's the day of Jessica's event and she ends up inviting everybody to come, and Bambi and Sierra are two of the first people to show up, and Bambi ends up having a conversation with Sierra, letting her know that in last week's episode, Saucy Santana and Spice ended up getting into it because Saucy Santana said that Spice's cast album was messy. And surprisingly, Bambi ended up saying that she agrees with Saucy Santana. She feels like Spice was being really messy during the whole process of them doing this cast album, because she ended up finding out from Amy in London that basically Spice told Amy that Bambi was writing a diss track about her, and that's the reason why Amy said that she changed her verse and made it a diss against Sierra and Bambi. And it's true, Amy did say it, because they ended up showing the clip in this episode of Amy telling Bambi when they were on the bus that that's what happened, that she was told that Bambi was writing a diss track about her first, and that's the reason why she changed her verse around. And so there's a lot of drama going on with this whole cast album thing, and it probably was a mistake, although you know that it's going to be messy because it's for a reality TV show. Now, Jasmine is also there because Jessica invited her, and Jessica also ended up inviting her niece Robin, and so she ends up introducing Jasmine and Robin, but they know each other already, and Shekinah ends up walking over there, okay? And Jessica lets, you know, Shekinah know that the girl sitting next to her was her niece Robin, and Shekinah remembers that in last week's episode when she was with Jessica and Jasmine, Jessica said that one of her nieces was getting hit on by Mendices, and so Shekinah, being as messy as she is, sits down next to them and she starts asking Robin if she's the one that Mendices was trying to get with, and Jessica quickly shuts that down and she tells her niece not to answer Shekinah's question, although we all know that Jessica was being messy when she invited Robin to the event, because we know that this is actually the niece that was getting hit on by Mendices. Then Spice ends up showing up and she sits down and her back is turned, and Jasmine and Robin are standing behind Spice, and Jessica tries to introduce Spice to Jasmine and Robin, but Spice does not want to entertain it. She doesn't turn around and she doesn't say hi. She was acting kind of rude in my opinion. However, I feel like Jessica should have left the situation alone. Now when Jasmine and Robin walk away, Jessica starts asking Spice why she was acting so rude and why she has a problem with Jasmine, and she said that she doesn't understand why all the women on this show are always siding with the men. And Spice said that she wasn't siding with the men, but that Yandy and Rashida are her friends, so she's not going to entertain Jasmine. And I mean, I think that's fine. If she's friends with Yandy and Rashida and she doesn't want to be cool with Jasmine, that's fine. I do think that she didn't have to necessarily be rude though when Jessica tried to introduce her to those people, because you are at somebody else's event and there is a way to conduct yourself. However, I feel like Jessica is the one that made this situation escalate to where it went, because when Spice gets up to walk away because she doesn't want to entertain the drama, she walks away to go get a drink, and Jessica literally yells across the room that they're ghetto bitches. Like, that's literally what she yells across the room at her own event. So then Shekinah starts yelling at Jessica, and that's when Bambi chimes in because she's cool with Jessica and she's not going to let Spice and Shekinah gang up on her friend. So she starts yelling at Shekinah, telling her that she's messy and she's acting weird. And all of a sudden, Jasmine goes over to where Spice and Shekinah are standing, and she's asking Shekinah what went wrong, like what happened, because she wasn't over there, so she doesn't know how everything started. And Spice immediately starts snatching Shekinah's arm, pulling her away from Jasmine, and Jasmine's telling Spice, wait, that's my friend. I'm asking her a question. And Spice starts screaming at Jasmine, telling her that Shekinah is not her friend, and she starts pulling Shekinah away. So her and Jasmine start yelling back and forth at each other, and Spice sits down and she starts taking off her shoes. So Shekinah jumps up and hops onto Spice's lap to get her to not jump up and try to fight Jasmine. But Spice ends up getting up again, trying to fight Jasmine, so Jasmine's going at Spice too, and security is keeping the two of them apart, and it just got really crazy. And Jasmine starts asking Spice what her problem is with her, and Jasmine is saying that she doesn't understand why Spice is more mad at her than Rashida is. And I mean, that is true. I don't feel like Rashida's friends have to be cool with Jasmine. They don't even have to talk to her. I just don't feel like they should have to fight her or be rude to her every time they see her out, because when Rashida sees Jasmine, she doesn't act like that. She doesn't go off on Jasmine. She doesn't argue with Jasmine, and she definitely doesn't try to fight Jasmine. And at the end of the day, if Rashida is still with Kirk when he cheated on her throughout the marriage and had a baby with Jasmine, then I feel like they should all let it go too. I'm not saying they have to be friends with Jasmine, because they don't have to, but I'm just saying them trying to fight her continuously every time they see her is dumb, especially because I've never seen Rashida go this hard for any of her friends the way that they go hard for her. Now, I don't know if it's just because they don't show it on the show or if she just doesn't do it at all, but I'm just saying I've never seen it. So Spice and Shekinah end up leaving the event, and Jessica is sitting on the couch at the event, crying her eyes out, yelling about how they ruined her event and this wasn't supposed to happen. And I'm scratching my head because I'm so confused. Like, Jessica ruined her own event. I'm sorry. She ruined her own event because she's the one who brought Jasmine over to Spice, knowing that Spice does not like Jasmine, to try to introduce them. And then she kept pressing the issue. So to me, she ruined her own event. And then when Spice walked away, she started yelling that they're ghetto bitches. Like, she ruined her own event, in my opinion. I'm not saying the way that Spice acted was right either. I'm just saying Jessica ruined her own event and she needs to take accountability. So Jasmine, Rennie, and Saucy Santana all go up to Jessica and they're trying to calm her down. And look, Saucy Santana was right, okay? Because he ends up telling Jessica that she had no business bringing Jasmine over to Spice in the first place to try to introduce them, knowing that Spice barely even likes Jessica herself. And so he was right about that. And he was also right when he said that everybody needs to mind their business when it comes to Kirk, Rashida, and Jasmine's business, because at the end of the day, Kirk cheated on Rashida with Jasmine. They have a baby together, and Rashida decided to stay with Kirk, so she's dealing with the situation herself. So he just doesn't understand why everybody else keeps getting involved and everybody keeps trying to fight Jasmine for it. I don't know. The whole situation is just messy. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all. And until next time, I will talk to you guys in my next video.